And welcome to the 2023 Cyber Conference. It doesn't feel like a year since we were stood or sat at the Pom d'Or doing exactly the same last year, but it is. Life has moved on a lot since then, and I'm delighted that we've had an absolute sellout on our physical tickets, and we have a few dozen joining us online with a bit of luck as well. So, first duty is to welcome you all. My name's Dave Cartwright. For those of you who don't know me, I am Chief Information Security Officer at Santander International, and that line has just blagged me the day off so I can come and do this. I also, for my sins, chair the Channel Islands Information Security Forum, which if you are not associated with it or a member of it, do please join. We cover, as it sounds, the whole of the Channel Islands. We're not just a Jersey entity. And we are the collective of all people with an interest in cybersecurity across the Channel Islands. We have a very packed schedule today. Bit of housekeeping: if the fire alarm goes off, leg it that way, or that way, or that way, or that way. Try to panic calmly, please. I have a lot of thank yous, and I'm not going to do them now. I'm going to leave them to the end. A couple of other little bits to let you know of. You'll see in the agenda on page 6 of the brochure, it's got the running order. We have a couple of breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We're feeding you for free at lunchtime. We have a lot of fantastic presenters both this morning and this afternoon. Our super keynote is a guy called FC. Some of you will be familiar with the legend that is FC, he of physical security and social engineering fame. He's joining us from Nevada. We'll talk a little bit more about him later. You will have noticed, hopefully, some games machines in the foyer. Don't worry about trying to fish 10p's from down the back of the sofa. They're all on free play. Feel free to have a go during the breaks. I tested them thoroughly last night, and they do work very well. And I think the CISO of JT has a photo to prove this, so I suspect you might see that on social media at some point. We have the first of our gold sponsors to say a few words before we kick off with the first presentation. And so I shall now introduce Lance Moratis-Jones from Recorded Future.
Thank you very much for that. Good morning, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the coffee and bacon butties and sausage butties out there. So, as Dave says, we are part of the gold sponsors here for this event, and I work for a company called Recorded Future. For those of you who are not aware, there'll be some in the room that have had some interactions with us as an organization, but we are a threat intelligence company that have been around best part of 13 years, which ironically is when I first started working in cybersecurity, which makes me feel a bit old now. So for the best part of 13 years, what we've been doing is collecting data, collecting information and intelligence, and providing a platform or having a platform that can effectively harness that information and provide output to our clients so they can make a pretty quick decision. So it started off pretty much in 2009, a couple of Swedes deciding that they wanted to effectively try and have a way to provide real-time intelligence to our client base, to the market, and they were sponsored by a company called Google. I'm sure you'll hear of those, to be able to provide a data science model that could pull that information and do the relevant work needed to pull out that data. So we have got this heritage of being an intelligence provider, of collecting not just cyber, but the sort of geopol, the other sort of let's call it cyber intelligence stuff over the past 13 years. And we've harnessed AI over these years as well as human intelligence to be able to provide context to our clients so that, as we're going to see over the next day or over today, a lot of what we are going to be discussing around the cyber threat landscape and around the impact of ransomware and the impact of opportunistic elements within this space. Having intelligence around that is a big part of what Recorded Future does today. So that's a little bit about us as a bit of background. From my perspective, I think I'm really pleased to be here, really excited to be part of this conference. I think it would be great to hear a lot of you guys today, and we're going to hear some really good information, as Dave was saying, from some of our other sponsors. and from some of our other speakers. And I'm looking forward to exchange views with all of you. And there will be a roundtable will be a discussion later that I'll be part of around the cyber threat landscape, specifically around nation-state threat actors, and I'd welcome your input in that session when we have that, when that session kicks off later on this afternoon. Just a couple of points to end off before we move on to more important speakers, including my esteemed colleague over there who's going to be talking to you about ransomware later. If you are still eager for more information after this event, there is a drinks session that we are hosting tonight, so you're more than welcome to come out to the lobby where you'll find our stand just as you come out, and there's still some wristbands going, so if you want to be part of that, speak to my colleague over there, over the Sinead, and she'll register you, or you can go and register online as part of the book that you have in front of you. Further ado, I think that's really it. I hope you enjoy the next few days. Enjoy your sponsored coffees, food, and everything else. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lance. So, on to our first speaker. We in Jersey are quite familiar with Cyber Essentials, the Jersey CERT, or the Jersey Cyber Security Centre, as we now know them, are massive proponents thereof. I'm a massive fan of Cyber Essentials, and certainly the Government of Jersey is extremely keen to continue to promote it. Quite frankly, of all of the certifications that you can see out there, it's the one that applies to everyone, so why wouldn't you go and do it? I'm delighted that we have Neil Furminger from IASME to come and give us an update on what Cyber Essentials is doing at the moment and what it can do for you. So, Neil, all yours.
Good morning, everybody. I am the Cyber Essentials Manager at IASME. So I work with the National Cyber Security Centre, and I have a very big involvement with Cyber Essentials. I'm part of the technical working group that sets the standard. I also are the chief technical author of the Cyber Essentials question set. So I've been working on Cyber Essentials now for 8 years in total. I've been an assessor, and I've had an extensive career in IT support before that. But for the last 4 years, I've been working very closely with the NCSC on developing Cyber Essentials. So the 3 sets of changes that have come out over the last 2 years, I've been heavily involved in adding those to the scheme and updating due to the changes in working practice and the pandemic that caused a change to a lot of remote working, where the scheme needed some serious updates to add cloud services, etc. It's been heavily involved in that. So IASME have been involved with Cyber Essentials since April 2020, 2 weeks after the first lockdown. Very difficult to get motivation behind CE at the time when we had big launch plans, etc., which were all cancelled. But we've been very much working in partnership with the NCSC, which is something we never expected it would be, but that is exactly how it works in partnership, and we are guiding them very much more on the SME focus and providing them with lots of experience around that, which is not necessarily the NCSC's frontline protections they look at, but they are getting increasingly interested in it. Right, so what is Cyber Essentials trying to protect against? It's protecting against commodity threats. So that is the social engineering, exploiting known vulnerabilities, and password guessing. So we're talking about the easy to run attacks. Okay, the very simple attacks, which is 95% of how all attacks start. What they're after the theft of data, encryption of data, or just disrupting people, or just doing it out of interest. But what is it really? So Cyber Essentials is a set of controls to help prevent an incident taking place. I'm going to shoot through this a little bit. But, you know, Cyber Essentials controls are based on evidence and a risk assessment carried out by the NCSC on behalf of the UK government. And actually, the 5 controls out of Cyber Essentials come from the 10 steps of cyber security, which came before Cyber Essentials was created. but it should be seen as the foundation of all organisations' cybersecurity levels. So what is it? It is a certification. It's government-backed, but it's made up of 5 technical controls. So say these 5 technical controls are derived from the 10 steps to cybersecurity. So we have firewalls and routers, secure configuration, security updates, access control, and malware protection. So these are seen as the 5 key areas to prevent a basic or simple or common cyber attack taking place. They all sound relatively simple. From supporting Cyber Essentials now for 5 years, I can tell you it's not simple. Okay. But why Cyber Essentials? Because it's resilience against online threats. There's a lot of evidence out there, an increasing body of evidence to say how it makes organisations resilient. The current stat is it protects you from 80% of common cyber attacks. That evidence and research is being carried out again at the current time, and we're waiting for the results of that. But it is expected that that figure should be rising. It presents business opportunities. It's certainly going to happen in Jersey, but we see it a lot for public sector contracts. We see it a lot now in private sector contracts. There's been some very good success over the last year or so getting it into supply chains. There's been significant growth in the number of certificates issued. And on that fact, there's been 145,000 certificates issued over the 9 years of Cyber Essentials. And at this stage, in the last 12 months, there's been 38,000 issued. So that's a significant growth. It's also used by the ICO, Commissioner's offices, looking at data breaches and looking at the different clauses in there where it mentions technical measures. We've seen it fines issued by the ICO actually calling out that they weren't applying the controls of Cyber Essentials. So that's very useful to have their support with the scheme. It's of 2 parts. So the first part is a verified self-assessment. The verified self-assessment is then independently marked by an assessor. We have 960 assessors now, and we have 325 certification bodies in the UK that can offer this service. The second level is Cyber Essentials Plus. And now this is the audited one, and this is the area we're seeing real growth in at the moment. So it's a short audit of 7 tests. It may take a day or 2, depending on the sample size that's carried out. But we've seen a significant growth in this in the last year because it gives that extra level of assurance to procurement teams and contract holders. This is a development that's taken place this year, is a Cyber Advisor. Cyber Advisor was launched at Cyber UK this year. It's designed to provide SME organisations with some reliable and cost-effective advice and consultancy services, and also implementation services. So this is the advisor has to follow the NCSE guidance, understand Cyber Essentials, and has the ability to not only be able to implement the technical requirements, but also be able to have a conversation with them, use their soft skills to communicate correctly. Because often SME organisations, the very smallest, you talk about this and they just, it's almost like putting shutters up sometimes because they think it won't affect us and they don't understand. But the idea of a cyber advisor is to give those consultancy services and they're able to converse the importance of Cyber Essentials controls and be able to implement them. The current stats since April, that figure is slightly outdated now. It's actually 69 ASPs, I believe, and we're at 74 advisors as of yesterday. So there's good growth here, and we're offering exams all around the UK for new advisors. It's a 3-hour exam, and they have to do a bit of practical and a bit of role play in there. but it's proving to be very successful, good uptake, and we're starting to see advisors come from communities outside our own certifying bodies. So we're starting to see an uptake and interest from MSPs and IT services companies. A new development that's coming out, hopefully the end of this month, beginning of November, is the Cyber Essentials Knowledge Hub. Now, earlier this year, there was a report released by DCIT talking about Cyber Essentials. It was a wide-ranging report, and a lot of the feedback coming back from it was there's inconsistencies with the scheme because of the sheer number of assessors we've got, and they all talk differently about it. But there's also inconsistencies in the advice that's out there publicly. What we've decided to do is create this Cyber Essentials Knowledge Hub. A lot of this information we've been sharing with assessors over the years, including end-of-life information, which is important to Cyber Essentials because everything must be supported and using a supported operating system. We're going to make this information public for free in one area about Cyber Essentials. We're currently working on this, so we've got about 45 guidance articles to go in there. We're going to have an FAQs at the moment, which it comes from all the sessions I have with people to talk about Cyber Essentials, to answer those questions everybody has all the time, but get the correct answer from ourselves at IASME. And we're going to do something called scheme advisories. There's been a number of announcements around Cyber Essentials that have not been very well documented over the years. Changes about home working that have been shared with the assessors, but unfortunately sometimes get a little misconstrued. So we're going to have these scheme advisories out there in public, and there'll be announcements jointly by IASME and the NCSE when there's a slight change to the scheme. On the changes to the scheme, anybody who's involved with Cyber Essentials right now, I have some good news. No changes in 2024. We're having a break. We've done 3 sets of changes over in a 2-year period. A lot of it reaction to, as I say, the pandemic. A lot of it because the scheme hadn't had major updates for a number of years. And we needed to put those out to include cloud services. We're not doing anything in 2024. We're giving everybody a break because multi-factor authentication, even though a lot of people in this room say, yeah, really, we must always do it, actually is proving very difficult to get people to adopt. So we're having this change of working practice and the change of use of authentication methods. Luckily, the vendors are starting to back us on this. So Microsoft will make significant changes around multi-factor this year by making it default on our cloud services. So hopefully that will help and encourage the growth. But it is, Cyber Essentials isn't just about certification. And this is the important thing I find and what I get the most pleasure out of. It's an education process. It gets people on the Cyber Essentials journey. It gets it on their cyber security journey. The basics I'm talking about today in Cyber Essentials are the basics. Everybody should be doing them. And I do say everybody should be doing them in their personal life, on their personal devices as well. They mean the same. But it's really important we give everybody the knowledge that they can understand the basics. So that's what we're going to do with this Knowledge Hub. It's been a personal project of mine for 2 years. It's coming to fruition very soon. It's going to have a soft launch, as I say, this quarter. And in Q1 next year, a bit of a harder launch because we've got a brand new website at IASME. We're going to make it easier to find. So quickly, some Cyber Essentials developments. So we have a supply chain tool on the way. So for larger organisations who require it through their supply chain, rather than have to look for individual companies on the Cyber Essentials certification database on the IASME website, we're going to have a tool that means you can search for multiple organisations at the same time. We have lots of feedback about the use of Cyber Essentials to prove assurances, etc., in their supply chains. We've heard stories from Zoopla, for instance, who says when they're assessing a company, it normally took them about a day to assess. By having Cyber Essentials, it turned that into an hour. It's made a lot of difference to them. And that's working with DCIT and NCSC and IASME, so there's lots of work going on in this area. Anybody heard of the Cyber Essentials Pathways project? This is a project about large organisations who struggle to meet the controls. This is an experiment. It was a project. It's now in its second phase of testing with 10 of the largest companies in the UK, or largest organisations. And they're from a variety of sectors: banking, construction, higher education sector. And it's an alternative way to get Cyber Essentials Plus, but you've got to show your alternative mitigations achieve the same desired outcomes as CE Plus. That is an experiment. It was a project. We're not saying it's going to happen. We're not sure. It's entering the second phase right now because from the first phase we found a different way we could possibly do the testing. So we now need to test again against the 10 organisations. And the final announcement about Cyber Essentials at the moment is we've changed the cyber insurance. And this is something I know that the Jersey CSC are really interested in and promote, is that if you have a turnover of £20 million or less and you are achieving or going for Cyber Essentials, you get a level of cyber assurance with it. And that is up to £20,000 of cover, or £25,000 of cover, sorry, to recover from an incident. That supplier has just changed to AIG from AXA. That's just a recent development. But it's important to remember there is insurance here for the SMEs to get them on the journey. My final little one, just to finish off, is this is a very short presentation. I normally do very long presentations, and I do workshops, often 3 or 4 hours with charities, etc. Happy to do that. But tomorrow morning, alongside the Jersey CSC, I shall be doing another 2-hour session on Cyber Essentials and go into it in a lot more depth at the Palm d'Or Hotel from 8:30 to 10:30. Happy for anybody to sign up and come and join us. Thank you.